Alright, so this is our introduction to reflexive pronouns and adjectives. Alright, so reflexive pronouns and adjectives are pronouns and adjectives that reflect back onto the subject. Now, a pronoun is basically a word that takes place of a noun. An adjective is a descriptor that modifies a noun. So one is a noun, one is an adjective. So we need to sort out whether any of these are reflexive or not, meaning do they reflect back on the subject, before we move on to the pronoun adjective portion. The boy saw himself. It reflects back on the subject because that's the boy. So this is reflexive. The girl found him. Him and girl, not the same, so the him does not reflect back on the subject. So now, I hit myself, reflects back on the subject, so reflexive. They fed themselves, reflects back on the subject, so that's reflexive. We bought them food, does not reflect back on the subject, so not reflexive. And you gave yourself ice cream, reflects back on the subject, so it is reflexive. So reflexive pronouns and adjectives need to reflect back on the subject. The reflexive pronouns, third person, are here. And then over here are the reflexive adjectives. Now, these can best be translated as her, his own, and you say its own, their own, all of those. And they need to agree with whatever they're describing, case, number, gender, which is why there's seemingly so many of them. Whereas in the reflexive pronouns, there only seems to be 4. Now, the reason there's no nominative is because the subject is the subject. A subject can't reflect back on itself. It is what it is. So there's no need for the nominative. Okay, so different uses of the pronouns, reflexive pronouns, and reflexive adjectives. XLII.a, I saw his father. His, literally of him, from the XLII.a chart. He saw his own father. This is reflecting back on the subject, his own. Notice the UM and the EM are both masculine accusative singular. He saw his father. Now, the difference between the two above is the suum reflects back on the subject, so you know that the father belongs to the subject. The AS of him is not reflexive, so that his does not reflect back on the subject. So that father does not belong to the subject. And then XLII.a, he saw himself. That is a reflexive pronoun. Now, to help you discern among all of these different types, we're going to do this exercise down here. And we're going to need what's in the box here to help us out with that. Alright, so in the box, the rules for declining. If it's first person, go with the ego or nos chart. Second person, go with the tu or wos. Third person is where it gets a little tricky. So if it is not reflexive, you have the XLII.id. If it's reflexive, you need to figure out whether it's an adjective or the pronoun. If it's the adjective, the his or her own, use the suis chart that is up above there. If it is a reflexive pronoun, third person, use one of these guys depending on its case. Alright, so let's put this into practice and make some sense of it. First one, he saw himself. Type of word, it is a reflexive pronoun. He saw himself, it is third person, and it is accusative, so third person, reflexive pronoun, accusative. I need to go with say. They saw him. This is accusative, it is just a pronoun, it's not reflexive, it is third person, so here, I need the XLII.id chart. And if you recall, that's the accusative singular ending. We need to put one vowel in front of it, and that's going to be the E. She found her own daughter. Her own, reflexive adjective. It's third, so third, reflexive adjective. We need the Suish chart. Now this is modifying daughter, so accusative, feminine, singular. And if we look above, accusative, all right, so feminine, accusative, singular is going to be suam. I dress myself, all right, that's reflexive. Pronoun. It's first person. Now, because it's first person, we need to just look at the ego nos chart. All right, so this is accusative. I dress myself. Ego nos chart. That's going to be may. Notice that although it's reflexive, because it's first person, we need to focus on that first person chart. You found his cat. All right, so that's going to be a pronoun. It is third person. All right, possessive, so genitive. So third person, not reflexive. XLII.a id chart. EIUS. You blamed yourself. All right, this is a reflexive pronoun. Second person, so we need to use the second person chart. This is accusative singular, second person accusative singular chart. Te. She gave herself a manicure. This is a pronoun reflecting back on the subject, so reflexive pronoun. It's third, so we need to look at these guys. And looking at the case, all right, so manicure is accusative. This is going to be the indirect object, so it's dative. So it will be Sibby. We fed ourselves. All right, reflexive pronoun. But it's first person, so we need to use the ego nos chart. Ourselves is accusative and it's plural, so nos. So when trying to sort these out, especially on the homework, please take the time to use this chart. And the ego nos and the XLII.a charts, if you don't have them locked away in your head, they're in the green sheet for you, or the green packet. All right, now we're going to do some vocab review. His or her own, ship, order, walls, race or nation, fear or be afraid of, town, power, seek, ask for, oh, that's a terrible E, but whatever. Enemy or unfriendly, reject or refuse, and then any. So in the first one, we got a question. The any tells it's a question. Isti, did you see te, yourself, in the water? Number 2, the man. Usid is from ubeo, ordered. And we have this reflexive adjective going with the servants, both accusative. His own servants. All right, to work in the city. All right, we got a superlative there. So est. The man was very sad. Ob on account of. Mortem, the death. Uxor sui, of Sui, his own wife. All right, so the rest of these, try on your own, pause, and then when you're ready to go, just hit the play button. He is able to defend himself. Omnes gentes, all nations. Debit ought to rule. Suos populos, a reflexive pronoun, their own people. Alright, this is neuter, so that A is going to be plural. The footsteps of the captive led to the camp of the enemy. Rex, the king, gave liberty, gave freedom. Omnibus suis cubus, all going together, to all his own citizens. Ablative absolute. With the camp of the enemy, repertis having been found, the leader killed many people. And we need to take out that U. Alright, we got another reflexive adjective, so the leader. Refused to fight. His own soldiers. The leader ought to prepare his own soldiers proilio for battle. I believe you have pugnandi there. The soldier is not prepared oligarchy for any kind of fighting. Alright, and with the ND that becomes a gerund. The powerful queen was able to rule for many years. And the woman wants to look after Karari. Look. The youths of, and then sui is reflexive. Her own city. Alright, so there's some practice there, both with sentences. And then up here, And so for forming these, you really want to look at the rules for declining and take your time and sort that